Welcome along, everybody. Welcome along. Welcome back to reviews and previews with me, Mark Fanning. But what a day! First day one of Punchestown in the bag. We've seen some spectacular racing. A lot of upsets, a lot of upsets. Thankfully, we predicted one race right. Anyhow, we got a 33-1 winner on day one. Ended up, I think, at SP 22s. We'll just take a quick recap of day one, and then we'll kick straight into day two. It's late here. Want to get this out as quickly as I can. Came back on YouTube, as I said, I was going to do more videos on YouTube. So yeah, we're back. There's no point harping on. We kicked off with the the cross country race. I had no selection in the race, but Transprint, one of the 22s for trainer um, Richard O'Keefe. He had a 1-2 in the race with Turn Up the Volume back in second, and last year's winner back in third. Then we went to the Albert Bartlett Series final handicap hurdle over 2 miles 3. Our selection ran very poorly in that, but then again was the outsider of the field. We thought it might run a race. It was there or thereabouts for a while, but Richard Smith trained the winner with Ben Smith combining by some time. Massive odds of 50-1. I thought to be an upset in this race, and there was, but we weren't on it. That's actually a UK runner that came over, so it's great to see that happening too. Then the second UK winner of the day was Ascending Lark for a trainer that's going to be heard of a lot in the next couple of years, Harry Durham. I think he's a nephew of Paul Nichols. He's somewhat related. I think he's definitely a nephew. He was a very good rider, this chap. He retired early and he is becoming a very shrewd trainer. Paul O'Brien, an Irish jockey who's based in the UK now, combined here at odds of 8-1, getting up to win by Willful back in second, at 3/4 of a length back in second. Then we went to the first grade one. This was the champion novice hurdle over 2 miles. Iransi at 18-1 trounces him here. Salvatore Monday back in second for Willie Mullins. And Caribou back in third. But the warm favourite at 130 on, Copac de Bose, the Supreme Novice winner, never looked comfortable. He was back in fourth, 19 lengths further back from the third. So yeah, look, it wasn't Copac's true running. So I think just season's over now, and hopefully we'll come back and we'll see what he can do next year. But take nothing away from the winner. This was a good performance, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes next year for JP. Then we went to the second grade one. This is a novice chase over the 3 miles. And Cham Kiley, SP to 22s. I previewed him. I tipped him up at 33s. Absolutely trounces Ballyburn, who he's probably came back to one of his best runs back in second, 6.5 lengths. And Stellar Story back in third. But look, I was happy enough. I said, like, Danny won a grade one, and this lad over hurdles back last year in the Lawlers and Ace. And yeah, I just felt that today could have panned out right. Thankfully, we were right. And yeah, Champ Kiley, Julie obliges at 22-1 SP. Then we went to the bumper. My selection in this, Green Hint, finished second, a length and 3/4 behind. Another Willie Mullins runner, wonderful every day at 16-1. I tipped Green Hint, as I said, finished second at 12s. He's a nice horse. I watch him where he goes forward for in the future. Green Hint, I think he could be the one, even though he finished second, to take from the race. And then the penultimate race on the card was the Champion Chase over the 2 miles, grade one, as I said. And I was thinking it was a 2-horse race between Marine National and Factor File, but Factor File wasn't at the races at all. He just didn't look himself. But Marine National, I think I was probably a victim of this. We had Sean Flanagan on our Cheltenham preview, and he was so sweet in him going to Cheltenham. He won the Champion Chase in Cheltenham, and now he's backed it up winning the Irish Champion Chase. It's great to see. We know this horse, not only for training's sake, but for more personal reasons, has touched us, and I think we're all cheering him. There's definitely someone looking down on him, and yeah, look, it was ultra impressive. Sean Flanagan, one of the senior jockeys in the Ray room now. It's great to see him riding a good horse like this in these good races. And the old boy, Captain Guinness, he always turns up, doesn't he? This lad at big prices. 7 lengths back in second at 28-1 for Henry Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore, and Solanus back in third. And then the final race on the card was another bumper over the 2 miles. I like starting 15 here. Actually went out to an each way price at 11 to 2 for the McNamara's, but he was back in third. Bud Fox, though, wins. The money came for Derek O'Connor, probably the best amateur I've seen riding. There's probably, he's bang up there anyway. Like, he's definitely probably one of the top, if not the top amateur riders I've seen, and he's still riding the top of his game now. Great to see. Gavin Cromwell, as I said, loves to go to these festivals and have winners, and always seems to come away with a winner now. Gavin Cromwell, so he's off the mark on day one anyway. And then Celestial Tune was back at second at 50 to 1. But that was day one. That's over and done with. Now we're going to concentrate on day two. And we're going to kick on here with the first race on the card, a 2 mile tree. 28 runner declared here for a handicap hurdle, but this is the Adair Manor Opportunity Series final handicap hurdle. Of course, the Adair Manor pump a lot of money into this, JP McManus. And he's well represented here. I actually like two in the race, and two of them are his. There's 28 runners declared, but only 25 run. There's 3 reserves, so if one or two of them come out in the morning, one of these might get in. Poleman might, if he'd be interested in the reserves, if he gets in for Dennis Hogan, or Yard of form, but I'm not really going to select him. If he does get in and one of mine become non-runner, he'd become an each-way play. But Beyond Your Dreams for Joseph O'Brien and Alan Kelly combine here. JP McManus, as I said, around 7 to 1 at the minute. I sweetened this leg going to Cheltenham. He didn't run his race, but he was ninth in behind the Connections other runner. Put Your Hands Together. He was beating less than 10 lengths, and he'd done so much wrong that day. He looked like turning in that maybe he was going to come at a run, but he'd be bang there. I think if he's in the first half of the runners here and travels in, I think this lad could run him riot really here Beyond the Dreams. So he's definitely going to get a selection for me in the first. But the other one I'm going to take at is a bit of a mad one, this, but Hands On for Enda Bulger, trainer that's loves to have winners, and hopefully he starts to make a resurgence here. And of course, himself and JP have combined in the past a lot more with the Banks races. Enda is more known for, but when he gets his hands on one, he's well able to train. A young rider I don't know much about, PF Kavanagh. I don't think he's rode a winner yet. Could he open his account here? As I said, their man are sponsored the race, which is JP, and they own this lad. But this lad actually won a maiden hurdle. He was fourth in the maiden hurdle around this total, but then won a maiden hurdle, beating Eagle Fang, who's went on to do some nice things since. In Cork, a 3-year-old maiden hurdle. Then we didn't see him for nearly a year. And he hasn't ran. He's only ran 2 starts since. We haven't seen him since July. So you're talking the guts of 10 months back in 24 in Killarney. So I just think at 40 to 1, if this lad, maybe he's showing the right size at home. I know that when he won that maiden hurdle that day, that ended, thought a bit of him. So if he could bury him away, this young fella, I don't know much about him riding, but if he's riding for Enda Bulger, he's plenty of homework done at home. And I think maybe Hands On could outrun his odds at 40 to 1. So Hands On for me, and Beyond Your Dreams. Maybe even a little forecast each way in race 1. Then we're going to kick to the second race on the card. This is the Colonies Red Mills Irish EBF Auction Hurdle Series Final over 2 miles 3. 16 runners declare here, 4-year-olds and over. And what do I like here? I like one at, again, massive odds here. The Keep a Cool Coco for Andy Slattery, Keen Cork. And Keen Cork, I think he's 3 behind Tiernan Power Roach in the standings to become leading conditional rider. Keen Cork is a rider that you need to take note of. He's not attached to a super big yard, but he's been taking his opportunities. He had a few injuries last season, but since he's been riding frequently again, this lad has given he's given some horses some cracking rides this year, and he's really shown his skills on the track. I think he's an excellent horseman, which would you want in the National Hunt Spear. But I think he goes about his business very quietly, Keen Cork. So he's definitely a jockey, I think, that given the opportunity can showcase what he's all about, and he will definitely be there. Hopefully he gets some big opportunities. He actually has a ride later in the card. We'll go through that as well. in the Grade One. I just think I'd love to see him knock in one here on one of these big festivals. We've seen him in Fairy House winning on that Harry Kelly horse in the famous bow colours, and I just think that this Keen Cork, given the opportunities, this lad can ride. But keep a cool cocoa for Andy Slattery, 33-1. You're going to get those extra places again. He was actually, it's his handicap debut here. He was second in a maiden hurdle around Cork behind This Is the Way, who reopposes here. But his last run in Tremor, he was actually favoured for an opportunity maiden hurdle around Tremor over 2 miles 3. 2 miles 5. He's come back 2 miles 3 today behind Fairyland Opera. Now I know he's beaten 12 lengths that day, but it doesn't show the full story. I know he would have been second anyway. He was well beaten. He was going to be well beaten that day, but I don't think the winning margin was. I think it was a bit exaggerated because I think this horse was just a bit tired and he made a mistake, and Keane wasn't over hard on him. Then he knew he was going to be second. He was a long way clear to third, and I just think keep a cold cocoa. Keane takes another 3 off its back in off 11-1. Yeah, I think that this lad, you're going to get the extra places. A local trainer here, Andy Slattery, who does so well in these races, well able to plot him. So keep a cool cocoa for me each way in race 2. Then we're going to go to the third race on the card. This is the Louis Fitzgerald Hotel Hurdle. 10 runners declared here, over the 2 miles 3. A horse that I tipped actually runs here. I tipped him at a massive odds at Cheltenham in the race that the New Line won. What was that? The Turners, was it? The Turners. I tipped him at 40-1 that day, and he actually pulled up. But this lad was fourth behind Kopak in Leopardstown at the DRF. But before that, he won a maiden hurdle around Leopardstown. And I know that things hadn't planned right between winning his maiden hurdle and the DRF. And he obviously, he wasn't 100%. He ran too free in Cheltenham and whatnot. I tipped him at 40-1 in the Turners. He's 7-2 for this race tomorrow. It's too short for me. If he was 5 or 6-1, he'd still be a little bit too short, but at least he'd represent each way value that you could back him with the 3 places. I think this horse should be 7 or 8-1, but he's shown what he's capable of at times, but not at times in that maiden hurdle. He was thrown he was second or third favourite behind Kopak in the DRF, and things weren't right. They made it, they've been widely vocal about he wasn't right that day. And I just think he wasn't right in Cheltenham either. He obviously pulled up that day. But Mark Walsh comes back in here. Mark Walsh is riding at the top of his game this year. 7-2. The odds just are too short for me, but he's a very interesting runner. But the one I'm going to take a chance with for the each way play is Tradecraft for Nicky Henderson. Nicky sends 2 over here. James Bowen, cracking rider, this lad. This is a cracking rider. Takes the ride here in those Constitution Hill colours of Michael Buckley. This lad won around Sandon, and actually the second and third have since gone on and won. Yeah, I think this lad could run a cracking race here, 10-1. So I'm going to go for Tradecraft for the UK alliance of Nicky Henderson and James Bowen in race 3. Then we're going to kick straight to the first Grade 1 of day 2, and it is the novice hurdle over 2 miles 7, just short of the 3 miles here. Novice hurdle, 8 runners declared here. Yeah, I'm going to go for one here at a massive odds again. I'm going to go for the Andrew Slattery runner here, Floor in the Park. This lad, if he can get in the rhythm, and Keen Cork, as I said, I've touched on him earlier on. I'd love to see him win a big one here, and a Grade 1 would be no bigger. I think this lad can actually outrun his odds here at 20-1. I think he's always overlooked in the bigger races. He's ran some cracking races in some graded races. He was second behind the Yellow Clay, not beaten that far in a Grade 2 not too long ago. And he was second the last day around Fairy House behind Mr. Percy. And Mr. Percy is a horse of Joseph's that I actually tipped when I done a racing TV horse to follow for the season ahead. Mr. Percy was that horse. That Mr. Percy is not a bad animal at all. Floor in the Park, I'm telling you, this lad, if he gets into rhythm, if he's out in the front end early, I think on this kind of ground, Keen Cork, I think he knows this lad now, and he'll know how to run a race in him. I think he'll outrun his odds. I'd love to see the 8 stay in just for those 3 places. And I think Floor in the Park for me gets my vote each way in the 4th race. Then we're going to go to the Champion Bumper Grade 1 here over 2 miles, and this is a very interesting run contest. 7 runners declared here. Bambino Fever, I think he was one of two of the only winners I tipped at Cheltenham. I made him my nap on that day. He won. Jodie keeps the ride. She won the race last year with Redemption Day. She's going for her fifth straight ladies amateur ladies title this year. She's a cracking rider, Jodie Townend. So yeah, I think this lad can top a stellar season off. She won in the DRF on him. She won in Cheltenham on him. I think she just stays on him for that reason. And I just hope Bambino Fever goes in. I wouldn't be backing it at the odds. I think the odds will be, it'll be one of those races that it will be over value if it wins, and another one that should have been taken on if it loses. But Bambino Fever for me, I'm not going to harp on about it. I'm not going to bet in the race, but I think does the job. And then we're going to go to the feature race of day 2, the Gold Cup. 3 miles, Grade 1, 4 runners is all that declare here. Interesting contest. Look, Galloping the Champs, he's one of my favourite horses. I tipped him all those years ago to win the Martin Pipe, 16-1, a couple of weeks out. He's never won this race. He's been second in the last 2 years, but the last 2 years winner doesn't turn up here fast or slow. He's out, of course, for the season, for the Brazils. And I just think Galloping the Champs, look, he's been having the season of a lifetime, really. Of course, he was beaten behind Spillane's Tower this year. At Punchestown, obviously. We haven't seen Spillane's Tower since the King George, and he was very warmly fancied for Cheltenham and then Aintree. I think the ground hasn't been right. I'd love to see Jimmy Mangan having a big winner here with an Irish Gold Cup. It wouldn't get much bigger than this. Mark Walsh can do no wrong at the minute. But I just think Galloping the Champs is the one they still all have to beat. I know he was beaten in Cheltenham in the Gold Cup, but he was still second to a very good horse on the day. I know the way you're thinking. And I just think Galloping the Champs, I think he'll make it third time lucky here in the Irish Gold Cup. I'm not going to keep harping on about it. He's 6-5. He's no right home price, but at the end of the day, if he does get the job done, it could be a massive price at the end of the day. So yeah, Galloping the Champs for me in the Irish Gold Cup. Then we're going to go to the penultimate race on day 2. This is the Colin Quinn BMW Handicap Steeplechase, Grade 3, 15 runners over 2.5 miles. There is one here I like. For Gordon Elliott, Rian, Danny Gilligan, he is some rider, this lad. This young man is going to go places. I just hope and pray he stays sound. I think Gordon has got some jockeys in his arsenal. Of course, you have Jack Kennedy out, comes back hopefully soon. I think all going what we're hearing, he's probably going to take the proper time he needs off, and then hopefully come back for like the summer festivals, the Galways and things like that. So get well soon, Jack. And then you have Sam Ewing and Danny Gilligan to pick up the pieces, along with Jordan Gainford even. Yeah, but this Danny Gilligan, for me, I think he's the eye-catching jockey. For me, if I had a horse, I'd definitely be putting him on it. If I couldn't get the Paul Townends of the way room, I'd be putting Danny Gilligan on it. He'd be my second call. I think this Rian, I was in Thurles today, he won a maiden hurdle, beating Spanish Harlem even. He's run some credible races in some big handicaps, no more so than in Cheltenham when he was 6th, only beating less than 10 lengths in the plate. So yeah, I think at 8-1 here, you're going to get probably an extra place or two as well. I think Rian gets my vote each way in the penultimate race. Then the final race on the card is a mare's bumper, a Grade 3, just over the 2 miles. Very one favourite here. Paddy Toomey, Solin. Hopefully Paddy has a bit of more luck than he did today with his runner in that bumper. But this lad has won, Philly has won around Cheltenham at the November meeting, and then won an Aintree. Now, had the helping hand of Billy Lee on board, because of course professionals can ride in the UK bumpers, and it's an amateur only contest in the Irish version. Barry O'Neill, one of the top amateurs, though, takes the ride. But even money, looks like the one they all have to be. Still beats 1 runner bumper around Aintree, as I said the last day, and still look like it a bit in hand. Future prospect, he was favoured for the Dublin Racing Festival, finished 5th. I actually tipped it going to Cheltenham and never made it to Cheltenham, and then went to Fairy House and was third behind 2 of the horses that Ria Pros is here. the Queely horse Carrickmore Spruce, and Switch from Diesel doesn't run here, runs in the other bumper for Ross O'Sullivan. But held behind Carrickmore Spruce the last day for Queely's, who is very shrewd operation, rides him himself. Yeah, Sold In probably gets the job done, but I'm not going to have any bet in the race. I just think that probably does win, but it's not a betting prospect for me. So that is my preview for day 2. We have some massive ones in there. Hopefully we can get one of them over the board. We got one of them over the board today, and hopefully we get 2 of them over the board and go for a nice little each way double in our lucky 15. But again, hit the like, hit the share, and I will see you again very, very soon.